When you think of NASCAR bust from the late 90s, one of those drivers that comes to mind is Chad Little. A generation of fans remember him as the John Deere driver, or in my case, John Deere. But before that segment of his career even happened, Chad was looked at as one of the most prominent rising stars in the sport. In the late 1980s, Chad was simply a beast in the state of Washington. With the backing of his father Chuck and being able to attract a big-time sponsor in Coors, 1986 to 87 were the best years of his late model career. He began racing in the Winston West Series in 86, where he won Rookie of the Year, but the following season in 87, he would take the championship. For the rest of the 1980s, he continued to race late models, but also his father would help him make a huge leap. He would race sporadically on and off in the Winston Cup Series during this time. He made 16 starts from 86 to 89 for multiple teams, including his father's. This all culminated in his father finally saying, you know what, you're ready for the big time. And in 1990, they began racing mostly Winston Cup. Driving the number 19 Bullseye Barbecue Sauce Ford, Chad found little success in his 2 years driving for his father's team. How bad was it? He only scored one top 10 in 46 combined starts. This also included 4 DNQs and 9 DNFs. Once that team was going nowhere, they shut down soon after, and from 92 to 96, he once again was racing in the Cup Series sporadically again. On the other hand, the Busch Series was a much different story. A better one, in fact. 94 to 96 would turn out to be the most productive seasons of his NASCAR career. He began driving full-time for Greg Pollux in 1994. As some of you guys know, Greg would eventually become a championship car owner in the Busch Series, just not with Chad behind the wheel. His 3 seasons saw him post his best points finishes of 3rd, 2nd, and 5th. 1995 was his best season yet, scoring 6 wins, 11 top 5s, 13 top 10s, and an average finish of 14.5. Despite those 6 wins, he was extremely inconsistent compared to Johnny Benson, who wound up winning the championship by over 400 points. After posting his best season up to this point, a big-time sponsor took notice, and that sponsor, you guessed it, was John Deere. Entering 1996, the team had expectations of winning the Busch Series championship. Instead, what followed was a ton of regression. They regressed in every stat category, from wins to top 5s to top 10s to average finishes. The only stat they didn't regress in was poles, as they were able to score their first ever. Still, they put together a solid season, finishing 5th in the standings in 96, but one of the worst decisions was made after this season. I don't know if it was the sponsors or the team's decision to make this move, but after the 96 season, they moved up to the Cup Series full-time for 97. I don't know why anyone thought this was a good idea. It ended up being the worst decision possible. Just because you have funding to move up to the Cup Series doesn't mean you should move up. The move was a complete disaster from the very beginning. They end up missing the Daytona 500 as well as the second race of the season at Rockingham. And by the time Watkins Glen rolls around in August, they are sitting 39th in the standings. Chad's career seemed to be done up to this point. He had had a ton of success in Busch and just couldn't get it done in Cup, until one of the most unexpected moves possible took place. One of the best car owners during this time in Jack Roush decided to buy out Greg Pollux's team and bring on not only John Deere as a sponsor, but bring over Chad Little as well for the rest of 97 and full-time in 98. Everything seemed to be falling into place. He was going to be with one of the best teams, he was going to have a championship crew chief in Jeff Hammond helping running this team, and he was going to keep his sponsor. It was looking good. The 98 season got off to a slow start at first. Through the first 6 races, he was sitting 23rd in the standings and also DNQ'd for one race at Atlanta. After that dismal start, the 7th race at Texas was the site of Chad's best run yet. He starts the race 5th, ends up finishing 2nd after leading 49 laps, and loses the race to his teammate Mark Martin. This would mark his only career Cup Series top 5. The rest of the season went pretty smoothly. He was able to score 1 top 5, 7 top 10s, an average finish of 19.4, and finished 15th in the standings. Inconsistency was another major flaw of the season though, as he also scored 7 DNFs. If they could turn around the inconsistency and limit the wrecks, this team and driver were going to be a force to be reckoned with. The problem is, they would never get any better after that. And over the next 2 seasons, Roush Racing would witness one of the worst performances by one of his drivers yet.
Ever see the low star, Mike Skinner and Tony Stewart? Those two cars getting together, get on the grass. And it rained last night, that grass even bent. There's no way how we see Jeff Gordon going across the racetrack in front of traffic as Skinner spins down. Ever see Chad Little, the 97 car John Deere, mowing some grass?
The caution is out at the Brickyard 400 for the first time this afternoon. Chad Little has crashed over in turn number 2. And we have the end of the crash. There's the contact with the wall in turn number 2 on the driver's side.
Very hard contact. Another shot from our turn 2 camera. And when you see a spring rolling across the racetrack, you know that car hit awfully hard.
2, caution is out.
Car still up against the wall. Third caution of the evening comes out on lap 169. The window net is down. Chad is moving around in there. Finish at Darlington last week. He had moved up to 20th position in the point standings. Hit it pretty hard.
Yes, he did.
There is Mark Martin taking 7th and Chad Little into the wall.
Oh, man. Heavy contact.
You know what's probably going to happen here? That is heavy contact for Chad Little. The caution is out. He's trying to get out of his car because there's smoke coming out. I don't know if he has fire inside or what, but Dale Earnhardt might be leading this race because if everybody pits, he's going to be staying out there a bit. Let's see.
Chad was running in 21st position when the car hit the wall, and he climbs out over at the exit of turn number 2 at the beginning of the backstretch. He appears to be okay, but anxious to get out of that car.
Well, there's a lot of flame over there, and that's what he was trying to get away from.
And Chad Little, he was 4th on lap number 4, then it backslid a little bit and then got caught up in the accidents.
That started right there. Little contact. Wally Dallenbach and Little made contact, and then later on, then you have Rick Mast getting involved in spinning.
Here's the look again. Accident taking shape, sending Chad Little to the garage area. We have problems for Terry Labonte. Boy, he did not need that.
No, he did not. He's got a broken foot already and got a lot of problems. Look at Chad Little, the green car there. Heavy contact by both cars.
There they are together. Look like they're going for the same piece of real estate from that angle. Oh, man.
Can't hit it much harder than that. And that's right at the part of the racetrack where both of them are trying to, as you said, get the same piece of real estate. Did not work out.
We'll watch it again. It was a mean lick.
And as you say, Terry Labonte didn't need that. He arrived here at the racetrack on crutches. The day after Daytona, he woke in the morning with his knee all swollen up. He went off to a doctor's office who x-rayed it and declared it broken.
Of course, for Chad Little, things keep getting worse because, you know, Chad had announced at Daytona that he and Jack Roush would not be together next year. You see Chad is out of the car there. Looked like they had put a little bit of a collar on him. Steve Park and Chad Little. Steve Park and Chad Little off turn number 4. Caution for the 5th time. Lap 277. There's about a half lap before the accident.
That's Jimmy Spencer there in the 26. They make a little contact.
3 wide, you're going to have contact here at New Hampshire.
Was that one pack of traffic. Now here's what happened at the other end.
Kenny Schrader.
Oh, yeah.
Schrader shoves him out of the way.
Oh,
and there was Skinner coming up. That's what happened.
Yep.
So
Steve Park was in the throttle just as hard as he could go, and he just got right into a car that is slowed. So, I mean, there was nothing that either one of them could do.
See, that replay showed there where Schrader shoved Chad out of the way.
Chad was let go after the 2000 Winston 500 in favor of getting young phenom Kurt Busch some seat time. The end of the 2000 and the entire 2001 season were still bad ones for the 97 team, but it set the foundation that eventually laid the groundwork for Kurt Busch to become a champion with Roush Racing. After being let go by Roush Racing, Chad would race one more full-time season in the Busch Series, finishing 9th in the standings, and after that, his career was basically over. His Cup Series stats are this. In 217 starts, he scored 0 wins, 1 top 5, 16 top 10s, and an average finish of 24.1. He continues to work in NASCAR today as a managing director, but his stats as a driver were certainly unpleasant. At the end of the day, Chad Little was a very good Busch Series driver who simply couldn't adapt to Cup. It's a shame that the most iconic John Deere driver in NASCAR history never got a win for that sponsor. And once again, that'll do it for another video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Black Flags Matter. Catch you next time.